What's up, everybody? My name is TJ McClelland. I'm the broker of Fitness Realty. We are here for episode 78. What's up? This is going to be so awesome. I've got Cassie and Ryan here next to me with Ascend Bookkeeping, and they are going to talk to us all about accounting, and it's going to be so good. What's up? Welcome to the show. Give us a little bit of background about you guys.
I'll be honest, I'm pretty sure that's the most excited anyone's ever been about accounting that has not been, in the accounting world. So thank you for that. That made me actually feel really good.
Nice. All right. Well, that's probably pretty true because I think accounting in general, that makes me just want to go into the closet and do things that I shouldn't be talking about on this channel. But I know that there's people that love accounting and numbers. We might have to edit that out. Just kidding.
I'll leave it. We'll leave that.
Oh my heck. Oh, good gravy.
Oh, that's so awesome. Well, honestly, I'm just grateful for you guys to be here. First thing for everybody watching, Cassie and Ryan have been doing Fitness Realty's bookkeeping and my personal bookkeeping for like 2.5 years or so. So anyway, that's a little bit of background about just what we have been working on as a professional relationship and then just some friendship that we built out of that. And then side note, I'm going to just tell everybody that I'm a World of Warcraft player, and so is Ryan. What's up? So we have that in common. We kind of talk about it sometimes, but in general, I just love these guys. They've been really awesome. So give us a little bit of background about you guys. Like, did you grow up here in Utah? Where are you at with family? Tell us a little bit.
Yeah, so we're actually both Utah transplants. So we both grew up in the Pacific Northwest. So I grew up in Portland, Oregon, and he was just right across the river in Vancouver, Washington.
Nice.
We actually found out our schools competed against each other quite often in all sorts of different things. Not, same years with each other and such, but we grew up fairly close, but didn't meet until we were both in college. So.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's pretty solid. But we're hitting 11 years of marriage in April. So
very nice.
Yeah, so we've bounced back and forth between Utah and back to the Northwest a couple of times for various jobs, but since we're no longer in the W-2 world, we get to choose where we live, so we're staying right here.
Nice.
Yeah, but no, we've got 3 kids. We've got an 8-year-old, 3.5-year-old, and then an 18-month-old. So.
Oh, that's a wild time. Well, tell me a little bit about college. Like, what college did you guys go to? And was that were you guys partiers, or were you I'm hard into the books?
Is it bad if I say I'm a nerd?
Well, I mean, you did go into accounting.
A little bit. There we go.
Okay, there we go. It did hiccup. Woo.
Yep. No, it's all good. It's all good.
Yeah, no. So I was a nerd. So I was the outcast. A lot of our folks went off to, in my area, they either went down to either Oregon State University or University of Oregon, or they went out to Idaho, to BYU, Idaho, and I stayed local. I went to just a community college out there because even then I was a number nerd. It was give me what makes sense financially. So that's where I stayed and went to college. And then,
Oh, mine's a little bit weird too. So I was a partier all the way up until I was 25 or so.
Solid.
And then was not in school, so I wasn't a partier at school. But then I decided to get my life in order and went to school. So I went and got my bachelor's degree in video game design, actually game art and design, through the Art Institute. So that's actually my background. I'm very creative, a lot of art in my background, and that's why I love video games. Yeah. One thing led to another, though, and I don't pretend to understand why the universe does what it does, but we ended up
100%.
We have a very interesting background around both of our parts. She actually talks about her major. What were you going for? Sign language?
Sign language interpreting.
What?
So different than what we ended up.
Yeah.
That is the beauty of storytelling, though. I mean, everyone has a way that they magically got to where we are right now. And I always find that to be kind of fascinating. I made these choices, and then like you guys got together, and then you made all these other choices, and then life happens. 3 kids later, you're like, yeah, we just run a bookkeeping company. Like, all right. Nothing to do with sign language and no video games.
I still play a lot of video games. I design them. And
yep, 100%.
I didn't go into that industry, but
yeah. Sometimes I wonder, like, if you had gotten into video game design, like, would that have lost its flair? Because, like, right now, playing video games is fun, but if it was work, like, I think I would hate that.
Yep, and from what I've heard, it's grueling being in that industry as a designer. So
yep,
yeah,
probably wouldn't be playing WoW like I do.
Yeah, oh, for sure. Well, let's kind of move into Ascend Bookkeeping, right? Is that the current umbrella name? I mean, I know that I've seen different like ways you've had different email stuff and whatever, but I know that as companies grow, it's like, oh, we got to restructure, we got to rename, and there's a different LLC or whatever. So right now, Ascend Bookkeeping is how people can find you online, right?
Yep, and that's where we're planning to stay at least for the foreseeable future. So we did start off as Kramer Professional Services. We launched and clients came to us asking our name, and it was the first thing I spit out. So
nice.
So we realized through some very smart marketing people and from some business setup and such, where it's, you need to remove your name from the situation and make so it's a little bit more generic and relatable, not necessarily just straight us, because we quickly grew it to where it wasn't just us. It's our whole team. So it's not Kramer Professional Services. It's not just the Kramers. We're including other people. So we did rebrand over to Ascend Bookkeeping a while back, and that's where we kind of want to stay. So,
right, I love that. The cool thing I think is that you guys have such a great business that now it's taking a place where you needed a name that could grow to where you guys are actually at. So I think that's just amazing. Well, tell us a little bit about like. Because I know bookkeeping is like, oh, I got to hire an accountant, blah, that's so boring, like nobody wants to talk to accountants, no offense. It's like a necessary evil. Once you hit a certain level in business, you're like, well, I've got to have a CPA, I've got to have an accountant, I've got to have a legal team, whatever. And so accountant's just a piece of that puzzle. So what is it about Ascend Bookkeeping and you guys that really makes you flourish, and just what is it that you guys bring to the table that is in that accounting world that we can kind of latch onto?
Yeah, no, for sure. First of all, I do want to point out you did ask us here, so you did want to talk to me, just so you know.
That's fair.
Bookkeepers, though. We're not normal bookkeepers.
Yeah,
number names.
That was fair. You play World of Warcraft. That's good.
Yep, exactly.
Okay, he's the cool one. I'm the nerd. I'll take it. I'm down for that.
Well,
I didn't say it. Fair. No.
But honestly, backing it up just a little bit, I would argue that anyone who wants to claim they've got a business, whether they produce millions of dollars each year in revenue, or they are what we call a micro business, so a piano teacher who gets $1,000 a month sort of thing, anywhere in between there, or even if you just want a couple kids for childcare, whatever it may be, my own personal opinion, you have to have some sort of financial system in place so that you can track and make sure that, again, and I actually posted those up on Facebook just the other day, are you actually a business or are you just an expensive hobby? It doesn't matter how much your revenue is. You need to have something in place so that you know. Because if you're just a hobby, then it's a hobby and it's fine. There's nothing wrong with having an expensive hobby or it doesn't matter. But if you're looking at it as a source of income, it actually has to produce that income. So having any form of accounting system in place is important right from the very beginning. With that said, having an accounting system in place does not mean you're going to maximize on your tax space. And I'm going to preface this by saying I'm not a tax professional. I don't claim to be. I started going in and playing in that space, kind of exploring it just a little bit under a CPA, and I discovered I hated it. So
we all hate that.
And no, I hate the tax world. There's too many other moving pieces where I love the space I'm in. I'm nerdy over here, so we'll just kind of stay there. But I can tell directly from being a number nerd that I am. I always do my taxes alongside my tax professional. And without fail, they always find several $1,000s more than what I do, because there are strategies they don't know. So even before we launched Ascend Bookkeeping and everything else, and I was actually in the insurance industry before this, and I was selling insurance and everything else. So we had our tax professional doing our stuff. So, I mean, I was making some money, not a whole lot, but it was some. But even back then, without fail, they always found several $1,000s more than what I did. So, my own personal opinion, it pays to have a tax professional and it pays to have an accounting system in place. With that said, a lot of businesses are not necessarily ready to fully outsource their bookkeeping just yet. So I would say, make sure you've got a system in place. Doesn't necessarily mean you need to have a bookkeeper though, because there's all sorts of resources where you can still DIY, have it make sense, have it be accurate. A lot of tax professionals have resources in place to help you DIY, as long as things are still fairly simple. Now, the second thing is kind of turn that corner and they start to get a little more complicated. That's like what you saw a couple years ago. You're going, this is really sucky. I hate all of this. That's when it kind of starts to hit that space where it's, okay, this no longer makes sense. I need to be able to start to talk to someone who can at least help walk me through this. And that's where your bookkeepers come in, depending upon who it is you partner with. So, for example, our office, we'll do anything from doing a done with you, which is a fairly new product that we've launched, that essentially takes business owners and say, hey, let's do your bookkeeping in a small group setting where everyone works on it together. You have questions come up, either myself or my senior bookkeeper, who's even nerdier than I am, which is pretty solid. One of us is there for a whole 90 minutes for you to ask all those questions. We've got a template set up and all the other good stuff, all the way through to completely done for you, full stack. Everything is off your plate as much as we possibly can do without actually being the one to control every single penny in your business. So that's at least for our office. I know there's several amazing bookkeepers out there where they've got different setups based off of their goals, what it is they're looking to do. So always pays to kind of look around, see what resonates with you, see what you're in harmonious vibration and who you're in harmonious vibration to partner with. But that's generally what you can kind of start to expect when you do look to go partner with a bookkeeper, is to get some semblance of guidance as far as here's your financials, here's how you manage them, so you're ready for taxes. And then moving into the next phase of, okay, here are your financials. This is what you can do to start to plan and semi-forecast for this. This is what I'm anticipating I'm going to make. I'm anticipating we can go ahead and do this. We need to make this investment coming up here, so we think we can do that by X time, based off of our information we've been able to receive, all the way through to, depending upon your business, being able to review different sections and see what's most profitable and what is lacking. I've got a couple of clients that, in fact, not a couple, we've got several clients who kind of utilize that feature where it's they've got different avenues of income, whether it's different locations, different projects, different properties, whatever it may be. But they like to separate everything out so they can see at a glance, oh, hey, this one's really performing well, and this one not so much. Okay, why is this one not? Okay, cross compare to all these other, okay, well, this is missing out on this. Can we add it? Yes or no? If no, do we need to scrap whatever it is we're doing? Or do we need to pivot, readjust? So there's a whole lot of information you can grab from your financials as you grow and develop. And that's something where, again, your good accounting team in place between your great tax professional that can help strategize, plan out what it is you want to do, get your whole tax situation in place, through your bookkeeper that can help just with your forecasting, with your budgeting, and just all the information. You can get super nerdy, obviously, because I just went super nerdy on you. But that's essentially, genuinely, that's what a good bookkeeper will do, is get really excited over your numbers for you. Right. Even if you're not super excited over it yourself.
Yeah, I was going to say that part's really awesome. And I would kind of want to segue a little bit about like where you, there's a piece that you said about being harmonious with your bookkeeper. Honestly, like we have had that this entire time. And I kind of want to tell a little story about when it was probably 2.5 years ago now. I think I just was looking at our books and I was like, well, I'm stupid about this and none of this makes sense, and I don't want to invest any of the time that it would take to figure out how to do any of that. And then I actually don't know how I stumbled upon your information, so I don't remember that part. I just know that when I stumbled...
I'm actually referred us.
Who was it?
Jeff did. Your tax professional.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so Jeff said, you're the best. And I was like, all right, well, I'll just take the word for it because I have never done this before. And then lo and behold, here we are 2.5 or 3 years later, whatever it has been. And honestly, it's been such a great time for me to see our business through the financial eyes that you guys have been able to give us. And so for that, I'm super grateful. For everybody I like watching on here, I know that you said you should like get a harmonious vibe, but honestly, you're just the best. So I don't think that anybody should go anywhere else. So screw everybody else. I don't really give a crap. I'm saying it on this channel. All you got to do is go to Cassie and Ryan and get the job done, and they'll get the job done for you. Before we kind of get too far along, I know that you'd mentioned the done for you section, which is like all encompass, like that's where we're at. Because like I said, I look at it and I'm like, okay, well, I'm just going to go out in the backyard and eat dirt because that sounds better than looking at these numbers. And so to me, I have to have that done for you, you know, and our company's grown to a size where it makes sense to have that happen. And so for us, that's a really great avenue. So for businesses and business owners out there, if you're watching this and you're like, man, I just want to hand this off to somebody, that's literally what I did to Cassie. Was like, I can't do this anymore. I like marketing and talking to people and numbers, and this paperwork looks horrible. So anyway, that part I love. But you did bring up the done with you, and I think that's a great avenue for you to kind of segue into and just show us what that looks like a little bit, because there are a lot of people that are savvy with their own numbers, or they're to a size that's like, it's manageable. And so I'd love for you to showcase that a little bit on the channel, and let's kind of show people, like, what are the stepping stones from going, hey, I just started my business or my side hustle as a bass fisherman, to make a million in there, you got to start with 2 million. And so you could showcase somebody losing their money in their expensive hobby, but what does it look like to step stone into, all right, I'm doing QuickBooks, and then now I'm going to do done with you in your guys' program. What does that look like?
Yeah, so first of all, our done with you, we specifically created, as we were talking with various business owners, we get on what we call a discovery call just to kind of connect, make sure we're a good fit for each other. Because, I mean, I'll be honest, there's been a couple of folks I've come across and going, you know what? I can see where you're going with this. I don't know if I am the best fit for you.
Interesting.
So as we've been going through, there are various business owners where they're sitting there going, you know what, I really wish I could. I hate doing all of this stuff, but I don't have the cash flow to be able to invest over into a direct bookkeeper right now. And so we were hearing that honestly more and more often as the not recession kind of started and was starting to kind of take
right.
its toll on things, and businesses were kind of starting to see that those adjustments and the financial stress is kind of creeping in just a little bit. And so we went to the drawing board in the space of, okay, how can we help these business owners and have it make sense for them and their financials without it overrunning them and overrunning their cash flow, and honestly directly taking the money out of their own direct pocket they need for their families.
Gotcha.
So we looked at it as less of a done for you, which, I mean, granted, a lot of people really like, because most business owners hate doing their own books, and put it over into done with you, meaning you're still in that DIY space. You are still responsible in doing your books, but a lot of those stressors and anxiety go away. So there's typically two problems we saw with those folks who were trying to DIY. One, they were really good at procrastinating, meaning it was to do that.
No.
Yeah, for the record, I feel like I should say I'm a really good procrastinator with many things, and he makes me do things. So every single business owner will hit that procrastination no matter what. It's usually those things that give them the most anxiety as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So they're really good at procrastinating, especially if they're not super comfortable in that space. It's just, overwhelming. They'd rather bury their heads in the sand and just say, not my problem yet. No one's telling me I have to do it, so we're just not going to. So that was the first problem we were seeing with them, is that a lot of these business owners would start with this really good intention. Yes, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it here. Nope, sorry, something else took precedence. Nope, this was more important. So we continued to see that over and over again. And then the second issue we saw is, again, with that higher anxiety, they're not as comfortable with it, is there were typically a lot of questions that would come up. And accounting isn't necessarily difficult, but depending upon what you've got going on, there can be a couple moving pieces that go with it that make you sit there and scratch your head and say, what do I do? So oftentimes you sit there and scratch your head and say, what do I do? There's usually two things people or business owners would do. One, they'd either go to Google and try and find someone else with their exact same question that could actually answer it that made sense. Or two, they'd go to Facebook, where everyone and their dog deems to be they've considered themselves an expert, which you and I both know, and hopefully everyone knows, at least in their space, someone will claim to be an expert, and you turn around and say, no.
Yeah, where you're like, ooh, good luck with that advice.
Yeah. There's usually something there. Well, someone will come in and do, and you go, oh, please don't do that. So knowing that those two things are in place, those are the two problems we kind of set out to help fix. And so we did that with our Done With You structure. So we have, and when I say we, I'm actually talking about our amazing senior bookkeeper, Sharon. Like I said, she's the marrier of the two of us. But she helped create and developed a template, an Excel spreadsheet template that really simplifies, but also kind of blocks down a lot of those moving pieces and potential things that business owners could kind of start to adjust, mess up, that sort of thing when creating their own. So we created a template that kind of simplified a whole lot of those things and kind of a lot of those questions that typically bounce around in their head, because it says, nope, you have to figure out how to fix it and fit it within this space, instead of you've got these whole open field set, you can do whatever you want in. So having those in place, those fields locked down, has made it incredibly easy for a lot of business owners. But then we took it to a next step and said, okay, business owners, we're going to fix that procrastination problem, because for those who go through the program with us, they schedule and sign up for what we call a session. And each session is 90 minutes long. We meet once a month. Most small and micro business owners, especially if they're current on their books, usually get their books done within those 90 minutes.
Nice.
Usually it's around the 60-minute mark. So that means once a month, business owners are able to go in and either fully complete their books or mostly complete their books, which is a really good thing. Because before, where they were going, oh, hey, it's February and my CPA is yelling at me for 2022 bucks. Well, they're no longer doing that. I had several folks who were in our session starting the beginning of January of 23 in that third session. They wrapped up their 22 books and they were done and ready to go and over to their CPA before mid-January, which is
that's awesome.
So all those stressors and anxieties of getting their stuff done and getting it in correctly was eliminated, because they were able to ask those questions along the way. They didn't have to ask Google. They didn't have to ask Facebook, try and get in front of their CPA to ask those questions, mid-February, March, or even early April.
Right.
Trying to get those questions answered. Hey, what do you need here? And your CPA essentially says, don't worry about it. We have to file an extension because we're too late. We can't do it now. Yep. So that's essentially what we did. And then coming in with a price point, we're sitting there going, okay, QuickBooks Online, which is a great system to use if you know all the nuances that kind of go with it.
Right.
It can be tricky if you're not 100% familiar with it, but we went, you know what, we want to be able to price it out where if they're prepared to buy a QuickBooks Online subscription, we're right around there. So we've put it in at $49 a month at this point.
Oh, nice.
That's your template. That's your meeting each month, getting those questions answered. Your books are done, which, I mean, the accountability is there, which is huge.
Something that's really cool that stands out to me is what you've described in the types of people. I have literally been every single one of those. I've been the guy that's procrastinated. I've been the guy burying my head in the sand in the backyard. I've been the guy that went to Facebook and was like, I got a question. And then I'll be like, oh, that's probably bad advice, you know? And then on the flip side of that, I've also been the guy now that our books were done, right? 2022, like they were so slick. I'm like, hey, look at that. It can be done. It can be done really easy, you know? So I think that what's cool about what you guys do and what you provide is, and this probably won't come across very translated very well to people out there, but the amount of stress that you have with your books, if you haven't done bookkeeping like that for your own business or your own personal life, you don't have that stress yet. But if you launch a business, like then you have all this new stress that you're like, well, taxes are about to be due and I have no idea what I'm doing. All these receipts are everywhere. I have no idea what I'm doing. Or you opened up a QuickBooks online account for yourself and you go in and like screw it up royally, which I've been that guy as well, you know? And so I feel like what you guys bring to the table of eliminating so much stress, I can't say enough about that, because if people are out there and they don't have that stress, they don't really feel that, they won't know. But the people that are out there feeling it, especially right now, you know, because this is like the main fireball tax season. And so it's like everybody's is pushing right now. And I know 3 years ago, I was stressed out to the gills. And right now, I'm like, yep, I'm like, the books were done. Now it's all in Brian's hand, the CPA guy, you know, and so now everything's like, yep, we're all good, you know. And so I want to translate that to everyone out there listening, that hiring a great bookkeeping staff, and especially like Cassie and Ryan, just makes it so that you can live your life like you want to live it, you know, less stressed out. I can actually sleep at night. Like life gets so much better. And I feel like if more people knew that in their business, they would stop avoiding a small amount of cost that would actually increase their lifestyle, their healthy living mentality. Like everything gets better once you start really getting ahead of the power curve, you know. And so in that regard, I just want to praise you guys for the job that you guys have done for us. And then the job you guys are doing for everyone else, I think is huge. And something that I wanted to point out with the Done With You setup is that had I had that opportunity, you know, like 4 or 5 years ago, that would have been a great stepping stone into full bore bookkeeping and everything that we had. And we kind of like jumped off the deep end because I was already screwed 3 years ago because we just didn't know where we were at. And so we needed a lot of help at that time. But for people that are on my staff right now and other business owners, you know, we have, or they'll have relatively small businesses. And so the Done With You is so key. Learn it as you go. And then when your business explodes, like, step up to the next big league game, you know. And so I love that part about what you guys do.
I'll be honest. I mean, full transparency, that's our complete hope, is that we're able to help business owners for however long it makes sense to have them in the Done With You. Mm-hmm. And keep that partnership and relationship going. So then when they are ready to take the next step up, it's a natural transition, because one, we've already helped them establish their books the way we ideally like to see them, and we typically work with them. So nice. It's a really easy transition. But two, the relationship and the trust is already there. So, yeah. And that's the big thing that we sat there like, it literally makes sense, but it's there to help ease that space. And I really hope you don't hate me for throwing you under the bus here just a little bit.
You can totally do it.
I do think it's actually a really good opportunity to kind of talk about what that looks like, because TJ, you're a smart dude. You're not an idiot by any means at all here, at least in my opinion. But looking at, I remember very clearly what your books were, and it was in such an interesting space that it was literally cheaper for us to scrap what you had and recreate from scratch. Yep. Because so many parts were moving, and I know where your thought process was going and what it is you were trying to achieve. I could follow that. But there's so many parts where when you have an accounting software, especially something as in-depth as what like QuickBooks is, it's really easy. Yeah, he's going through and getting QuickBooks certified now because he's starting to learn some bookkeeping as well. Ryan is.
Ooh, good luck, Ryan.
I'm a software junkie though. That's like my world. So
yeah,
fair.
No, he's pretty solid. I think he's pretty good at it. But even then, he's sitting there going, there really are a lot of moving parts. And you can see where it's really easy to make a mistake. And I'm just going to put this easy one out there. If you're invoicing through QuickBooks, you're most likely making a mistake. You need to go check your balance sheet. Because a lot of people accidentally double record their income because they invoice through QuickBooks. Because they have steps that a lot of people don't know how to take or that they need to take. So there's a lot of potential errors that can happen. And that is one of those, it's insane. Because again, I mean, you, TJ, are a very intelligent person. And even then, you were still caught in some of those traps of those errors. And we've seen it without fail. I'm yet to see someone who can bring over their set of books, especially like if they do invoice or if they've got various properties or locations or things like that. We sit there and like, okay, not quite. We actually do need to make some pretty solid, significant adjustments here. And so it's things like that where, again, it's fine. DIY it all you want. Not a problem. I am 100% behind that, especially while your cash flow needs it, because you have to wear all those hats initially. Get yourself set up well, though. Whatever resource you use, know what it is. Get it set up. That's the biggest part. Your CPA or tax professional, thank you. Your future bookkeeper will love you for it.
No, that's awesome. What I find to be really cool, and just to be really upfront with you on the done with you, the price of that is like not even more than most CRMs out there. And so if you're a business owner and you're like, well, I don't even have a CRM, like you should probably start with bookkeeping first so that you can just start off on the right foot and use an Excel sheet for CRM, right? Because we used to operate in our business all the time. I would tell everybody, go out and buy this $500 CRM. It's one I really love and I'm very passionate about, but most people don't need it because their sphere might be like 50 people. You can write that down in an Excel sheet very, very easily. But on the bookkeeping side, I think that the most crucial piece of that is the 90-minute session. Like, get a professional on top of your books, because us average Joes, we're never going to be that good,
Well, let me ask you this, TJ, as a non-bookkeeping professional, I honestly don't know if you remember this or not in our conversations we've had.
Yeah.
What do you do? Like if you're working through an Excel spreadsheet and you come across money you pay yourself, typically, what do you do with that?
I know we've talked about it before, but I honestly don't remember because I've tried to block out every accounting conversation. I won't lie. If it wasn't us just chit chatting, I've tried to block out all of that. It just keeps me up at night. Yep.
Good to know. Good to know, TJ. All right.
Yep. Most of the time, because now our conversations are like, hey, my lender needs XYZ. I don't even know what they ask for. And I'm like, can you guys hook that up?
So I point that out because that's one that we see very often. I actually was talking with another client today. There's a difference between a business expense you record on your profit and loss report, which typically is your business expenses, and what's actually considered, your business expense. So it's things like that where, are you okay if I share my screen here?
Yeah, for sure.
So if we come up here, I actually want to show our nerdy little spreadsheet. Are you able to see that okay?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, nice.
Yeah. So this is our nerdy little register that we've got over here.
Wow.
So, yes, it's way cool.
I like Joe Schmo.
As you can see here, we have a space where you can write down the date, whatever the date of the transaction is. You've got your customer, your vendor, or the expense name, or whatever that looks like. Then we've got this cool little thing here where it says category, and it says choose from drop-down list, right? And from there, we've got all sorts of different things that go with it. As you can see, there is no owner draw, or there's no owner pay, or anything else like that, because it doesn't belong there. And so oftentimes when we have a new business owner that joins us in the Done With You, it's, I paid myself, what do I put that under? And it's, you don't put that there. That's something else you have to kind of track just a little bit differently. So it's things like that a lot of business owners will turn around and go, oh, that's not what we need to do, which, I mean, just because I'm going to show it off, because I'm really proud of what Sharon did and what we were able to kind of come up with here. Where you're able to put in your amount, whether it's a payment or an expense, and your different little notes that go over there, but it automatically populates your profit and loss report. So you can see your total income in all the spaces and all of your expenses and everything all broken up there. And your total expense and then your net income, which is exactly what your tax professional is wanting from you, which is neat. We love that sort of thing. So that's what we're able to kind of help create just naturally with done with you, which is really cool in my opinion. This is where I'm sitting here getting all nerdy and excited and a little geeks.
Right. Well, I think that's super powerful. Well, let me kind of segue this a little bit so we can kind of showcase where you can offer this. Like, who is your best client, or if people are listening and they're like, wow, I've screwed up all of my books for my entire business life. Who is the best type of person to fit both the done with you and the done for you category? And is it like anywhere, or is it just Utah, or is it only Salt Lake County, or what's your best clientele right there?
Yeah, great question. So, I mean, I'll be honest, our clients are all over the United States, generally from Washington State all the way down to Florida and everywhere in between.
Cool.
And in fact, our folks in our office are also all over the United States as well. So there you go.
Nice.
United States really is kind of our thing because there are different rules of counting and different pieces in different countries that we're not experts in, and we won't try to play any game where we aren't experts there. But with that said, I mean, we'll partner with most types of businesses. We're especially nerdy about, especially those in the real estate realm. So we've got brokers like yourself, agents, the real estate investors, property managers, all those nerdy parts. But I mean, with that said, we've got several electricians, general contractors. We even have an airsoft vendor that we have.
Interesting.
So we're pretty nerdy over here. But most importantly, we love to partner with those business owners who are maybe a little bit more just stressed out. I mean, we're currently recording this March 1st. So those who have felt or are currently feeling that stress from their tax professional of, I need to get this, and I don't know what to do. Maybe the anxiety, anytime they do sit down to try and do their books, it's just sitting there, it's bubbling, or it's always nagging in their brain, and they're going, I know I need to.
Right.
And it's that always sitting there. Or maybe even they're really excited over some recent growth they've had, and they want to be able to continue to progress in that space and be in their zone of genius and open up their brain space to be able to accept that and let their numbers be handled by someone else in their zone of genius.
Yeah.
So yeah.
No, I love that.
People like that.
Yeah. So the cool thing I think is that for a relatively low cost, they can do it done with you and really get a professional. And I think that, and just being quite frank with you, the people on my staff, there are several that I'm like, your business is to the level where you should have somebody looking at it, because one day you're going to want to transition to the done for you area. And if I would have had those stepping stones, it wouldn't have been a train wreck when I handed it off to you in the first place. So that would have been nice. So the cool thing is, I think as well, is that it can be any type of business. You know, somebody that could be in Botox, or somebody that's in real estate, or a roofer, or just anybody that's out there hustling. This is a great way for you to find where your profit and loss is actually at. You know, like, what is the numbers actually looking like? And so I think that's huge. And the last piece I want to kind of leave before I ask you about a wild and crazy story. The last thing I think that you really hit on is that if you are a business professional right now and you're feeling the stress of taxes, you should really hire somebody like you guys to make that stress just really evaporate. And I haven't had any of that stress for so long that I kind of forgot that it's a stressful time. Like, everybody's like, oh no, it's tax season. And I'm like, yeah, I know. Like, it's okay. You know, like, I've kind of moved on a little bit, you know? So I think that part's really amazing and a really crucial piece that that we should add and make sure that everybody knows that. So, what is the wildest and craziest accounting story that you can drop on us that is not my personal books and or Fitness Realty? Because I know that is probably, it's probably up here.
Can you be wild and crazy when it's accounting?
I mean, yes. It can be. I'm debating where we potentially want to go because we've had some crazy ones.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
We've had some crazy ones, but I'd probably say a crazy one that I'm most proud of. We had a client that we signed in, I think it was like the 28th or 29th of December one year.
Mm-hmm.
She is a flipper. And like a lot of business owners know, you have to have your 1099s and your W-2s and such out to the respective people by January 31st. That's that big deadline. So we all know. And for all these other people, we stress over tax time because it's where we really want to make sure we do a really good job. But we signed this client and she had nothing in place, which is fine. I mean, that's kind of typical in what it is we're expecting. But for the previous year, there's nothing there, which makes it difficult to get those 1099s filed on time and accurately when you've got nothing to work with. And it took, we pulled in, I think I had 4, maybe 5 individuals cranking through that data. And there was quite a bit of it. We had 4 or 5 individuals cranking through that data. And not only did we, for the most part, get her books pretty much set up, we were able to find pretty confidently, we're pretty confident we found all of those who needed a 1099. We were able to double check the numbers, and we got them all filed before January 31st.
What? Oh my gosh, that's crazy. And
it was so stressful.
For people that aren't, I was gonna say, for people that aren't business owners, those are some serious hoops to jump through. Seriously big ones, especially not having anything, That's crazy. Well, I mean, obviously it's a testament to you guys because I've dropped so much stuff on your guys' lap that I kind of feel bad about that. So I was always apologized for that. So, but I know that you guys always do a really good job and get it done. So I'm very, very grateful for that. Well, I just wanted to leave everyone here with a sense of if you are feeling stressed out about bookkeeping or anything like that, honestly, just talk to Cassie and Ryan. I wouldn't even waste any other time with anybody else. Their information is going to be down here or over on this side, wherever this video is playing. And so reach out to them and get yourself some a less stress pill so that you can just swallow it and have a great time and sleep at night and go back to regular life. But I am very grateful for you guys. I love you guys so much. I know that you guys have helped our business be in a better position to be more successful, and we couldn't have done that without you guys. So I'm very, very grateful. Thank you.
Thanks, TJ.
Anytime. Well, this has been episode 78. I love you guys out there. Thank you for watching and thank you for hanging out with us. This has been Cassie and Ryan with Ascend Bookkeeping. I'm TJ McClellan, the broker of Fitness Realty. Love you guys, and we'll see you next time. See ya.